On today's menu, a smartphone that can do it all. The Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. The S22 Ultra is the first smartphone ever that is a successor of two devices, the S21 Ultra and the Note 20 Ultra. But if I'm honest, for me it's clearly a Note. The angular shape, the camera design and, come on, it has the S Pen. Samsung came up with a really nice design. It looks great, feels every bit like the price tag, and it's more resistant than most other smartphones. The Armor aluminum frame is 10% harder and the Gorilla Glass Victus Plus is even 12.5% harder. Time to find that out in a drop test. 3, 2, 1. Just kidding. You would wish. And I would really like you to sub to this channel. I just started it and it would mean the world to me. The matte glass not only looks great, it's also resistant to scratches and fingerprints. I'm very lucky to have all four colors here: Phantom Black, White, Burgundy and Dark Green. To save weight, the camera lenses are now separate. I think that looks more subtle and modern. They also stick out less. The S Pen is in the frame with a small clicky button. Nonetheless, the device is protected against water. A IP68 certification means 1.5 meters depth for 30 minutes. A few small parts of the S22 Ultra were made from recycled fish nets from the ocean, but you can't tell and it seems more like greenwashing to me. The S22 Ultra has extremely loud stereo speakers that sound clear and full. The vibration motor is also a bit better. It doesn't go like brrr, but more like whoop whoop. I'm a big fan of that. The Note 22 Ultra, S22 Ultra, is big, heavy and boxy. You really have to be aware of that. But the display also feels like a cinema in your pocket. 6.8 inches, and guys, this is the best display you can buy. That's not my opinion, that's just the way it is. Thanks to Quad HD Plus resolution, so sharp that it would have two pepperonis next to it on a menu. Curved slightly on the sides with a selfie camera that sits in a tiny hole. Because it is LTPO 2.0 tech, the refresh rate can adaptively adjust from 1 to 120 Hz, which is supposed to save up to 25% on power. And then there's the brightness, up to 1200 nits full screen and 1750 nits peak. I think we are so close from replacing the sun just with one OLED display. Just kidding. The ultrasonic fingerprint sensor is also high-end, always on, and it unlocks reliable in 1.5 seconds. I only have two complaints. The China exclusive IQ9 Pro has an even faster, larger fingerprint sensor and the chin bezel is a bit thicker than the others. The regular S22 is perfectly symmetrical. Samsung again uses two different SoCs this year. The Exynos 2200 here in Europe and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 everywhere else. Although Samsung teamed up with AMD, they have the slower GPU. In daily use, the performance should be about the same, but I just don't get why Samsung even bothered to develop their own SoC when they could have bought just a better one. The performance feels similar to the S21 Ultra and a little bit worse than on the iPhone or Pixel, but Samsung promises 4 big Android updates and that's more than anyone else. And speaking of software, Android 12 adapts its color to the background picture. Apps like Instagram, Snapchat or TikTok no longer use a screenshot but the original camera quality, and then of course there is the S Pen. You can use it to write on the always on display. It helps when surfing on desktop pages. The latency is practically non-existent with 2.8 milliseconds. I can draw nicely in Instagram stories and use the wireless trigger for the camera. I don't use the S Pen all the time, but it's really great to have it. Let's talk about cameras. There is a 12 megapixel ultra wide with a f2.2 aperture, a 108 megapixel main sensor with f1.8 aperture, and two 10 megapixel zoom stages, 3 and 10x. At first glance it may seem like nothing changed, but in truth all the sensors and even some of the lenses are new. The main camera has Gorilla Glass DX for less reflections. This combined with the new signal processing and some software features raises the camera quality to a new level. First of all, I love that you are prepared for any situation. No one can quite match the insane zoom. Even 30 times digital is okayish. The 100x zoom is seriously impressive. How can it be that I can still read text that is that far away? If you want to take a picture of a plane or a window cleaner, you can do that with the S22 Ultra and only with the S22 Ultra. It really is the best zoom of any smartphone. Macro photos with the ultra wide angle are the other extreme. They look great even though the iPhone 13 Pro is a bit better. It is noticeable that Samsung wants to avoid overexposure at all costs and therefore accepts underexposure. The result is a very contrasting picture. Because the main camera is pretty wide, I used it the most. Super resolution combines 9 pixel for more light intensity and then adds the detail of the full 108 megapixel photo. The result is not quite as sharp as a real 108 megapixel picture, but a good improvement, especially in low light. Color reproduction is mostly natural, dynamic range is high. No matter during the day or at night. Also positive is how short the night mode triggers. I have rarely experienced more than 3 seconds. It is somewhat subjective whether you think the iPhone, Pixel, Oppo or Samsung has the best camera, but the fact that I can mention all of them in one sentence shows how comparable they are. Videos also look great, whether in 8K or very stable 4K up to 60 FPS. The edge detection in portrait mode and the bokeh have become much more real, and that also reflects on selfies. They have an autofocus which helps to get constantly sharp images. The S22 Ultra outruns the competition, especially in zoom, and the main and ultra wide angle are also very high quality. Even though the device is only 1 gram heavier than the predecessor and comes with an S Pen, the battery size is the same with 5000 mAh, and my battery life was about 5 hours of screen on time a day. That is enough to get me through a whole day. Sometimes the screen on time was a little bit worse, sometimes it was just a tad bit better. That is comparable to other smartphones with these dimensions, but worse than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. There's no charger included in the box, but there is one with 45 watt from Samsung that can charge up to 70% in 30 minutes. That's barely faster than the predecessor, and Xiaomi charges the same 70% in just 10 minutes. Wireless charging is still rather slow with 15 watt. You've seen it for yourself. This thing can do it all and therefore it is super expensive, but at least it is as expensive as the predecessor with $1,250. But to be honest, there is no other smartphone with that many features like the S Pen, the zoom or the 4 years of software updates. It's like a Swiss Army knife of smartphones, and it really earns the Ultra in its name. I really think it's a great smartphone if you don't mind the size and the square shape. That's it from my video. I hope you liked it and I catch you in the next one. Bye.